Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino here with your Week 2 NFL Pick'ems, and right off the bat, Pittsburgh is at home against Cincinnati. Very, very tough divisional battle, but I think most people probably going the Steelers' way. Me as well. I think the Bengals, of course, pulling out the road win like they did in Week 1 against the Jets. They showed a lot of resiliency. They showed a lot of toughness, and I think sometimes resiliency and just being composed when late in games are something that we haven't always had that confidence in the Bengals, but starting off Week 1 the way that they did, I thought was very promising, but I'm going with Pittsburgh at home. Pittsburgh just looks sharp. Monday Night Football against the Redskins on the road, their offense just looked like it clicked. I mean, you see that running game. I mean, they've got circumstances without Le'Veon Bell to start their season, but it just looks like they really haven't skipped a beat. D'Angelo Williams has really picked up a nice role for them there. Antonio Brown, Roethlisberger looked like no trouble getting him the football at all, going with the Steelers at home. The next, another divisional battle in the AFC North, the Browns and the Ravens. Now, when I look at this one here, I think it's not going to be a pretty game at all. I think Baltimore Week 1 gutted it out against the Bills and got the win, and I think this game is going to be similar. Obviously, the Browns are a mess in almost every phase of their team. At quarterback, it's probably the biggest of all, and now without RG3 either, but I think it's a very, very low-scoring, boring game, but the Ravens gut it out and get it done. The next one, a divisional battle in the NFC East, and it's the Cowboys going up against the Redskins. And when I look at this one, look, the Cowboys, they played pretty tough against the Giants like most times whenever they play against each other. The Redskins really didn't look too good at all in Monday night against the Steelers, but they are home and they are playing a Cowboys team where I still think they're trying to figure out who they are without Tony Romo. I think Washington gets a bounce back here at home and wins that game. Again, this is one of those ones where it's difficult because I think that coaching staff for Washington really was outmatched against Pittsburgh. It was very easy to see how outmatched they were by the Steelers coaching staff, and I think just overall, I mean, you look at them and they really don't have much of a running game. They really looked like Cousins didn't look like he had too much of a sharpness to him, but even with all that said, I do think they bounced back. After that, we've got Detroit at home against Tennessee, and Detroit to me was, of course, I'm sure as most people, was the surprise of Week 1, pulling off the road win like they did in Indianapolis. And when I look at Matt Stafford, to me, that might have been one of the best games Matt Stafford ever played. I've never seen him look so poised, and I mean, he was just going after players who weren't in the right place, weren't lining up fast enough. He looks like he's taken his leadership style to another level, and I always thought that if the Lions really wanted to continue to make that next step forward, it really did fall on the shoulders of Matt Stafford, and when he was ready to accept a bigger role. And he looks like, no question about it, he is ready to accept that role. I've got the Lions over the Titans at home. Then the Texans and the Chiefs, probably the game most people are split on the most. I'm going with the home team here because when in doubt, you take the home team over Kansas City. I have Houston. I think it's very similar football teams. You're not going to get the strongest play down the field from your quarterbacks. Very reliant on the running game and very reliant on the defense. Low scoring game. I've got Houston at home. Then New England at home against Miami, and New England right now is kind of in that nice little spot. They got their toughest game out of the way without Brady. It was a win. Garoppolo looks like he can handle himself. They're at home now, and I think that, look, the Dolphins are just not a team I have any confidence in. I don't have confidence in their quarterback play, and I think you just looked at their performance Week 1 against Seattle, which they should have gotten a win there, because Seattle certainly didn't look too sharp, but I still think New England just has a system. They have a guy in place who can execute that system, and they're going to be just fine and get another win to go to 2-0. And then Mr. Brady, when he comes back, it looks like he's going to be in business. Then the New York Giants open their season at MetLife Stadium. I'm sorry, they beat the Cowboys last week, but this is their home opener against the Saints. I have Big Blue getting it done over New Orleans. Now, this is going to be a huge measuring stick for this New York Giants new revamped defense, because we knew last season that was a shootout back and forth, one of the highest scoring games we saw last last season. The Giants traveled to New Orleans. Both defenses could not stop each other for the life of one another, and it was just a complete shootout. I think based on all the defenses we saw in Week 1, Big Blues probably looked like one of the better ones. And I think at home, it's a new day. All the options New York has on offense, Sterling Shepard, Odell, Victor Cruz, the running game. I really like the way this New York Giants team is shaping up, and I think they get a win at home. Then you've got Carolina at home against San Francisco. Carolina obviously disappointing, losing their opening game of the NFL season on the road in Denver, but I think, of course, they bounce back here against San Francisco. San Fran obviously looking not too bad in their Monday night win against the Rams, but that's not saying much for that Rams team. The Rams team had 13 possessions. 10 of them were basically just they did nothing with. 2 of them were interceptions, and another one was a turnover on downs. It was just a miserable performance, and I don't think we can judge much from San Fran on that. I've got Carolina. Then speaking of Los Angeles, the Rams are at home against Seattle, and I think this is probably one of the easiest picks of the week. Although Seattle is on the road, and they didn't look very good in Week 1, this Rams team is just a complete mess. Jared Goff has been named the backup quarterback for this game, and I mean, I said it when I was going over the last game. 10 of their 13 possessions in their Week 1 opener were punts. 2 of them were interceptions, and 1 of them was a turnover on downs. You don't need to know much more. This Rams team looks really, really bad. I'm going with Seattle, even though I don't really like what I saw from them in Week 1. Arizona at home against Tampa Bay. I've got the Cardinals here. I really like what Tampa Bay showed in Week 1. Jameis Winston looks like that cannon arm he has. He's taken that leadership role. Arizona, one of the more disappointing teams in Week 1 base. That defense didn't look very good. They didn't look very sharp against a New England team where they really should have come out and had a big day. Carson Palmer just, look, I've said it year after year, I just have never been a Carson Palmer guy. I think quarterbacks always show you who they are, and I think last season in the championship game against the Panthers, he showed who he is and who he always has been. I don't have much faith in him, but I have faith in the Cardinals on Sunday, getting it done over Tampa Bay. Oakland at home against Atlanta. I've got the Raiders continuing to just win, and Atlanta is one of those teams where it's amazing. You look now at basically the NFC South. Matt Ryan is now the worst quarterback in that division. It's almost incredible to think about, but Winston, you look at Cam Newton and Drew Brees, I don't think there's anyone right now who would take Matt Ryan over any of those other 3 guys. I don't really have much faith in this Falcons team. I love the direction of the Raiders. They are organized. They are united. They have great quarterback play. They are a team that is certainly continuing to build in a positive winning direction, and I have that direction continuing with a win over the Falcons. One of the tougher games for Sunday to pick this next one. Denver at home against Indianapolis. It seems like a lot of people going Denver's way, and at first, I did want to go with Denver being the home team. They looked very sharp to open the NFL season, but I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts here. I don't love this Colts team. I think that from a coaching standpoint and from some personnel standpoint, I don't like this roster. I don't think Andrew Luck has a lot of great talent to work with, and the team doesn't seem to put themselves in great positions right away. You looked at that Lions game. They almost came back, but they put themselves in really tough positions all the time, and to me, it's just making everything so much more difficult. But I do have them getting a road win here because when the back is against the wall, Andrew Luck usually responds, so I have them getting the win. The next one, Jacksonville on the road at San Diego. San Diego, obviously, they have a 21-point lead against the Chiefs, and they blow it in overtime and lose. Very, very crushing loss. They lose Keenan Allen for the season. Not a lot of things going right for the Chargers right now. Jacksonville almost pulled out the win Week 1 against the Packers at home. I think they're another one of those teams where they're continuing to get better and to build in a positive direction. But I'm going with the Chargers here at home. I just think after they lost the game the way that they did, they're going to look at that and they're going to beat themselves up. They're going to be ready to get up for this game, and this Jaguars team is still a little bit inexperienced, and Phillip Rivers has a tremendous amount of it, so I'm going to go with him to pull out the win here. Your Sunday night game, Minnesota at home against Green Bay. With Teddy Bridgewater, this would have been a really tough game like it was last season, but I'm going with Green Bay on the road here. I don't think it's an easy game. It never is when it's a divisional battle like this, but Green Bay right now, I just think is going to be able to move the ball more consistently. This Vikings defense looked very, very good against the Titans in Week 1, like I think we all expected them to be. But I just look at this Packers offense, and I think they're not going to have much trouble at all moving the ball down the field against Minnesota. Your Monday night game, Philadelphia on the road against Chicago. A lot of overall action coming in for the Eagles over the Bears. And, I don't like this Bears team that much. I've never been a big Cutler guy. And the Eagles certainly did look sharp in Week 1, but it was against the Browns, and to me, that's not a whole lot of vote of confidence, although I do think Carson Wentz looked very, very good. You can tell very easily he had poise and he had command over that offense, but I'm going with the Bears at home here. I just think at home, either playing against a rookie quarterback who Week 1 got his feet wet against the Browns, but I think Chicago being the home team here, I think for me, it's one of the safe ones. I'm going with the Bears to get it done, but I really am interested to see how Carson Wentz looks because he looked very good Week 1 for a rookie, and this is his first real road test, so watching that and how he reacts to it will be very fun. But that is going to do it for your Week 2 NFL picks. Jersey, Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll catch everybody in the next episode.